Welcome to It Starts With Courage podcast with Kat and Jen. What is it? It's everything. Everything you want in life starts with courage. Episode 52.
Oh my gosh, Kat.
This is so fitting. Episode 52. Just let me tell you guys what just happened. So we started this amazing discussion, just looking back on our entire year, and it wasn't recording. It was not recording. I don't even know how we're going to recreate that.
She's in charge of that. That's not my fault.
Technology, guys. Technology will always let you down at some point, one or the other. But yeah, this makes our 52nd episode.
One whole year
of recording.
And being consistent.
That's that part. That's the biggest part.
Yes.
The consistency.
I have been listening to a podcast that is typically like super consistent, and like I know what day it drops and everything, and I've been like going there and there's like no new episodes, and I'm like so disappointed. I was like, come on, man.
It's that thing, like the analogy I always like to use, which is you have to think of whatever you're doing like a restaurant. People expect it, when they come there, you're open at these hours and they know this is what they can get. But if you just decide to close on a random Tuesday evening and they come there, there's no notice, everything says you should be open, people will stop coming.
Yeah. That
consistency definitely pays off. And I feel like it's been paying off.
I don't know any of our stats or anything like other than you know, yeah, you know all the stats, and so you keep telling me that they're pretty good, but
yeah, it's been amazing to watch the stats, especially over the last, I'd say 2 months, really 2-3 months. We went from a point where at a certain expectation of number of downloads. Now, the thing is, this goes on downloads, not necessarily on listens.
Right.
So this is people who click download on your episodes. Now, I know when I listen to podcasts, I don't download them.
Right. Me too.
I just listen.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is just based on number of downloads, we went from a point where we were getting like 60 downloads, which I think is pretty good. To a place where we're getting like 400 downloads, which if that's just downloads, that's not necessarily listens.
Yeah.
And I also realize that some of you guys out there like to silently listen. You don't necessarily want to comment. And it's only when there's something specific that triggers you to comment. And I'll get these either on my Instagram, my fitness Instagram, where people will say, hey, I listened to your podcast and this, just from people you don't expect to hear it from. So it's been, we were both unsure about what this would look like.
Yeah.
When we first started it. And I think, as we were saying when we weren't recording, Jen, you were telling us what you thought this was going to be.
Yeah, I thought like when we first had this idea and stuff, I thought we were going to tackle like what's going on in the world, right? And like Kat and I are very different and have different beliefs on different things, and so I thought, hey, like this would be great that we're both at the same table and we're having an open discussion, and you're not going to just get one side of the story, you're going to get both opinions, and then hopefully it would help people see both sides of things. But I think I'm proud of how we were able to talk about some of the topics in a indirect way, to where you don't feel like you're just getting a political narrative. Like I think there's so many podcasts and channels to watch that stuff, and you can get whatever you want from there. Like I don't feel like we need to be there.
And I like to think, we've successfully managed to give different views on different things. Because like you said, we're different people. We grew up differently. And what's important is that we've been able to come to the same table and have discussions, and there's still respect, there's still understanding. And I remember you saying this at the beginning in episode 1, that right now what's lacking in the world is the ability of people to be able to sit down and just talk to each other. You don't necessarily have to agree with what someone's saying, but you have to have enough respect for somebody, one, to listen to them and to want to understand where they're coming from. I think that makes for a well-rounded person. And also, just when you form your own opinions, you also, I mean, your opinions are your opinions, but there's also room for understanding in your own opinions.
So what's been your favorite episode? You have a favorite?
My favorite episode, I actually think my favorite episode that time and time again I've heard about from people is what type of leader are you?
Oh, really?
Definitely one of my favorite episodes, because I want to say it's something I've kept at the back of my mind all year, especially when I go about my business, but also when I interact with people in leadership positions, being in a place of trying to understand their leadership style so that I'm not necessarily judging and, wanting to pick apart their leadership style, but also just coming from a place of understanding how can I be at that time a better follower because of their leadership style.
Yeah.
I think that has to be my favorite episode, and one that I've sort of carried with me during the year. What about you?
I don't specifically know, but I know that we've done so many on so many different topics, but I think we did one on like facing your fears and like not letting fear hold you back. And I've had a lot of people or a few people message me about like, hey, like I've been in a bad place at my job, and your podcast has inspired me to make a change or start a business or things like that. And so, I mean, I think that in itself just makes it worth it if we can help you get the courage to get out of that fear mode of what could happen in a bad way to what could happen in a good way. I think that's why we're here.
Because you've had a couple of people say, hey, by the way, I quit my job.
Right. And I'm like, oh, snap.
Jen is out here encouraging people to quit their job.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
No, not that, but chase their dreams 100%. So,
and that's really what it's all about. There are definitely some polarizing topics out there, as you mentioned. You know what? One of my favorite episodes, there's some episodes that have made it on here. And so episodes that have not made it on here. I think also because, at the time that we tried to record these episodes, we were still very new to podcasting. So setting up the story or not articulating what we were trying to say, but not avoid, I don't even know. But there are 2 episodes that we did that I really enjoyed, but that could have either been received negatively or would have just made us look like, I think people would have definitely picked a side between the
right
2 of us. But I don't know. I do hope that, and I'm sure you guys can imagine, I will let you guys use your imaginations. But I would hope we can get to a place where we can not even post those, but discuss those again, and be able to publish them, I think is what I would say. Because I would like to think that over the year, people have gotten to know us. They know who we are, the kinds of people we are, that they could understand the episode and not want to take away negativity from it, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, hopefully we'll have the courage to do that. I think like you said, is like this first 52 episodes, this first year of the podcast has really just been for you guys to get to know us, to know our backgrounds. We've told you stories about our families and our upbringing and what has shaped our view of the world. And, as we get to know you guys more, we're hoping that you have open minds to what we hear, and maybe you hear something that's not like in alignment with your value, but if anything, you can at least hear it.
Yeah.
And understand that that's another opinion or another view out there, and at least appreciate that view and be able to see like, okay, well, I can see how you think that way. I can still stand firm in my belief, but at least it opens your eyes up to like just seeing things from different vantage points and making good decisions from there.
Yep, I agree. I like that. So I guess to leave off, here's what I thought. This is completely unplanned, but I thought we could maybe say, somebody out there maybe think, okay, I want to start a podcast. We're a year into it now. I was going to say top 4 things, maybe 2 each, that you would say. I know Jen's eyes are like, what, Kat, we didn't plan this. We did not plan this.
Okay, I got 2.
Okay.
One is do whatever you can to be consistent. Like, make it a priority. Kat and I are both busy, and, we block out time in our schedule every week to make sure that we have enough episodes in the bank. We record sometimes 2 or 3 at a time so that we don't have to meet every week because we're both so busy. But so that you can be consistent for your followers. I think that's super important. And the second thing is, I would say for me, not being a social media person, is that it's going to take a lot longer for you to see like results or followers or anything than you think it is going to take. I mean, this is a marathon, not a sprint. So if you're not prepared to do this for like consistently for a few years, like, it's easy to get discouraged, like nobody cares what I have to say. But those would probably be the 2 like little pieces of advice I have for people.
Yeah, and especially that last one. I mean, that's so true. I think like you can spend a long time in your building phase. That is building up the name, building up the content, and then that one day people will start coming and start listening and hopefully going back and listening to different episodes. So if you're that person and you're catching us at episode 52, make sure you go back and listen to the rest. 2 things I would say I have learned is that you have to be, we come up with topics. We're like, okay, this is what we want to discuss. You have to be more outside of your own world to come up with great topics.
Yeah.
That is, you either have to start reading, you have to start paying attention to the world, you have to start just to become more, I think you have to be an interesting person, or have, I suppose, unless you have a specific niche and there's one podcast I saw where they discuss black blockbuster movies, right? That's a specific niche of, you can just look at a movie, but even they are going to have to do some sort of background work, that is, watch those movies to be able to come up with a critical analysis. So I think with podcasting, there is some work there in terms of self-development.
Yes.
In order for you to be able to come up with these topics and talk about these topics. What else? I would say I've also learned that you have to be willing to be a student as well. You have to be willing to be a student to understand the process of podcasting, learn the equipment, learn the software, learn the marketing. You have to be, it's great. And like, I think of famous people who just have an entire team who are just like, oh, we'll do everything for you. But if you're somebody who just wants to start this on your own, do that homework, be a student, learn about the equipment, so that even if you do have someone to help you, you understand what's going on, what's needed, and how it works. If you don't know how it works and you just expect to come on the mic and drop some amazing knowledge, what are you going to do with that knowledge if you don't really know what's the best way to get it out there, how to make it sound the best? I'd say those are my top 2.
Awesome.
Top 2 things. But thank you so much, guys, for sticking with us 52 episodes later.
Yep. We're coming back next week with a blockbuster episode.
Until next time, guys.
Peace. Thanks for listening to this episode of It Starts With Courage podcast with Kat and Jen. If you like this episode of the podcast, visit our website, iswcpodcast.com, for show notes and other cool things.